Thank you for coming. My name is Azucena. I hope you have been a cup of coffee today because I will talk about maintaining smallholder agriculture in a way of rethinking coffee system for indigenous perspective. First, I will introduce a little bit myself, and then I will focus on my thesis research project that I performed in southern Mexico this summer. So let's moving forward. So I grew up in a small indigenous communities in southern Mexico. So I'm showing that in this picture. And then I moved to Mexico City, where I get my degree in forest restoration. I'm currently second-year graduate student advised by Kyungsoo and Grossman. But why I'm studying coffee systems? So every morning when I sip my coffee, these flowery and fruity notes fill all my sense. So in my native mixed language, we said such a delicious taste of coffee that which means that it's very delicious taste of coffee that stimulates all my tongue sense. So, but many smallholders in this area, their farming systems are constrained by topography, and also like this climate change has affected them a lot. So that's why I'm very aware about those problems in those areas. So I'm studying this coffee system. So now, but why this coffee system matters for all of us? The first reason is because it's economically important. First, coffee is the beverage more heavily consumed around the world. Around 400,000 billions of cups are consumed every year. That means 1.1 billions of cups every day are drinking. So just in 2019, 30 billions of dollars were generated by trading coffee or by trading the coffee beans. So the second reason is because it's socially important. So over 100 small farmers depend directly or indirectly on growing and trading coffee. And the third reason is because it's ecologically important. The ecological importance of high-shaded coffee is related with their they function as to contain like the life of wildlife, and also they serve as a habitat for several microorganisms and soils. And also they control erosion in those mountainous systems. So the question that we should thinking about in my whole presentation, I will like what's going to happen with those coffee systems that they are very fragile ecosystem in a warmer climate. So first, just I will introduce a little bit about coffee system. And currently, where do we grow coffee? Mostly the coffee in optimal conditions are grown in tropical and subtropical environment between a precipitation between 1,000 to 200 millimeters annually to 2,000. So in an optimal temperature is between 15 to 22 degrees Celsius. Now the small farmers grow coffee in the silt that known as the bean belt, between 25 degrees north and 30 degrees south. And in elevation, it's between 1,000 to 2,000 meters over the sea level. So in this map, just I'm showing some of the countries that they grow coffee in the bean belt. So I will focus mainly, of course, in Mexico because it's my country. So my research is focused on those regions in southern Mexico. I study an extended climatic region from Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean. So you can see in the map, Veracruz, which is Gulf of Mexico, and Oaxaca, that is in the Pacific Ocean. So what is the purpose of my research? So my research is trying to assess and compare the topography, how the topography affect in soil properties, mainly focus in soil organic carbon, and also I will try to characterize the types of management. And as my third purpose is assessing soil organic carbon across those two climatic regions, Huatusco in Gulf of Mexico and Pluma Hidalgo in Oaxaca in the Pacific Ocean. So my method, this summer I went to southern Mexico where I sampled three types of management in each region, Mexico. And I divided into three horizons, and then you can see the picture that my collaborators and we are working to separate the samples until a depth of 50 centimeters. And I took samples from two hill slope positions, an erosional area and versus the positional areas. In those pictures at the bottom, you can see like we are mixing and creating a city sample for my thesis research. So in this video, I would like to show you an example of a polyculture system in this region. So Emmanuel will talk about this.
Buenos días, mi nombre es José Manuel Velázquez Pulido. Somos pequeños productores de aquí de la zona de la región de Huatusco, Veracruz, particularmente en el municipio de Izhuatlán del Café. Aquí les muestro nuestro sistema agroforestal de café, donde conviven pues varias especies. Dentro de ellas pues está el café, tenemos los chalagüites o vainillos, también tenemos el izote. Este nos provee de una flor comestible para las familias. También tenemos el cedro, ese nos proporciona la sombra, pero también nos puede servir como madera para muebles. También tenemos el encino, esa es otra especie que la ocupamos para la leña, pero también la podemos ocupar para postes o para madera. En este sistema agroforestal pues tenemos una gran diversidad de especies, comestibles, medicinales, maderables, y también para el mercado, como es el café, que es el principal cultivo que nosotros tenemos. El café la verdad es que nos gusta mucho porque nos permite que, aparte del cultivo, podamos producir otras cosas. Y más que eso, también conservamos el medio ambiente porque podemos tener árboles en compañía de plantas que nos dan el sustento económico, pero también nos generan una serie de satisfactores como es la leña, como son los alimentos o como son las plantas comestibles. También tenemos plantas ornamentales, flores, que pues también las vamos cosechando cuando se ocupan para alguna fiesta religiosa, u ornamentales como son la palma camedor. Incluso también estamos implementando lo que es la vainilla.
So in next slide, I will explain what type of coffee system I found when I traveled in those areas in Mexico. One of the coffee systems that I found is the roasted coffee system, which is the coffee trees inserted into the natural forest. The second is the traditional culture that you have seen explaining in the video by Emmanuel. And also I found shaded monoculture, which is combined with a leguminous species that is Ayla, and also the banana tree. There is other that it's Provelia, that it's a commercial interest. And I found very few people, bigger farmers grow coffee, some coffee. And we can divide it in organic system and inorganic system. So I found 6 types of common management. Over this roasted coffee and traditional polyculture, we find over 25 species mixed together in the same land. So we can find the legume species and no legume species. So, but what indigenous perspectives are used on those coffee systems? Indigenous knowledge represent millennia of learning studies that has been inherited generation by generation, but most of those, 90% of those coffee systems represent a very steep slope or complex slope in this area. So the indigenous farmers, they use topography as the main source that how they manage their coffee system, and also the percentage of their shade. The shaded trees have highly diverse cultural groups. They use high shaded coffee versus to people that they use just very low shade. And also what kind of species, as Emmanuel had mentioned, that they have some interest in those for ritual or for their food or their daily lives. So, and also I found that diversity of coffee agro-ecosystem correlates with high cultural diversity. So in this work also I learned that hearing and being able at the same time be inclusive is a way to balance between agriculture and humans' life. So in conclusion, just I would like to mention that these coffee systems are very complex integrated systems, very dynamic, and they're because of the coffee trees and then the type of management that they consider there. And also they provide, those coffee system provides additional food, very important for those small farmers and indigenous people. So it's critically important to consider indigenous knowledge on soil management and future sustainability of those fragile ecosystems. And also, I will just mention some of the future approaches that we should focus on as researchers. So more of the research is not focused on topography. So we can find research about coffee, but it's not related with the topography where those small farmers live and farm. So it's important to include the indigenous knowledge and also models how this coffee system move into the high latitude and in altitude. And also how they could adapt to the pests like the coffee leaf rust that affect many of those small farms. And also focus in new native species and varieties that they can resist the heat. And the final, it's accounting for the greenhouse emission because there is some coffee, for example, in Brazil that they grow coffee, some coffee, so it's needed to account for a better system or accurate estimation of carbon in those coffee systems. So just to acknowledge, I would like just to thank also my advisor for supporting me in this work, Kyungsoo, and also my collaborators, and the small farmers that they contribute to make this possible. And like Kyungsoo and Pantinoco, Homero Plus, and also the DEI funding that they give me, provide me the funds to travel to Mexico. And related to this, I will advertise a project that we are working on, where we are building a collaborative networking with indigenous people in Mexico. And also Kyungsoo will give a course the next summer where we will relate, or he will present an interactive platform for students, where also I will collaborate to gather people and like in this interactive platform where leaders and research can contribute more broadly in this kind of system. So thank you very much. I will be more than happy to answer any questions.
Effects of climate change already, or is it something that's going to be more projected in the future?
We definitely have seen like the ultimate position to grow coffee, as I mentioned, is between 1,000 to 200 elevation. But most of the people now they can grow coffee at the 2,800 meters over the sea level. Of course, some of them like the small farms are very, very, very high elevation. They are happy because they could grow that. But why they are moving that area? Because down it's more warm comparatively. And also, I remember when I was in Huatusco, one of the small farmers asked me how he can keep water or he can increase water, and it was very difficult question for me because I told him probably the only way is to restore, but still we can't do because it's very big, like all the watershed, right? We need to consider many factors that affect all the watershed. So it was very difficult question to answer how we could keep water there because we have seen that decreasing of strength, and coffee systems are very susceptible to the also to the precipitation in those areas and also of the humidity in those areas. That's why I'm testing 2 regions to observe what's going to happen.
So it's a combination of water and temperature.
Water, a combination of water, temperature, and also now focus on soil science. What is going on in soil science? I don't know if that answers your question.
Do farmers tend to prefer a certain production system? I know you mentioned cultural diversity, but for example, for the sun type of production, like that Robusta type, I mean, is there a preference, for example, like that might provide more revenue or more money to them, or any factor that you have noticed that is actually driving that decision?
In Mexico, mostly the coffee or the small farmers grow coffee or very few farmers are focused on coffee, Robusta coffee. So they just decide because of the high quality at the cup of the coffee. That's why they decide to grow coffee Arabica. But for example, in Pluma Hidalgo, in the area that I was studying, they have variety that is typical. The name is considered as a typical because it's a kind of species that they just focus on this area. So they are trying to prioritize this type of coffee system there, but it's not related to taking because it's just mainly because of the high quality at the core. Like when we drink coffee, like high quality, mostly focus on that and how the price can increase if they grow more high quality coffee. Okay.
Oh, Azucena, when you talk about indigenous perspective, you mentioned people listening and seeing, but then you included being.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about when you
Yes, the bean bell.
the being?
And being, yeah, like being because I think like being part of them, like as me as people, I feel like I'm connected to those groups, and also it's easily to communicate with them and ask them what it means those system for them, because for their ritual, for maybe for other people, it's not so meaningful, like to understand why they just keep like very diverse. It's easy probably to manage just the coffee system with just some coffee, but for them means it's very important being part of them and feel that you are why they have other crops like the vanilla that is historically important in Mexico, why they have this, and why just they preserve because they will use it for some ritual or something like that. So that I mean when I said being part.